So 2 months ago, I released my comparison analysis thing of the Katara versus Pakku fight in the original Avatar The Last Airbender versus the new Netflix live action. By popular demand, I decided to make this additional video doing some more comparison of similar sequences and some other interesting shots that I didn't cover previously. Maybe talk a little more about shots that I did cover and add a little more commentary about adaptations in general at the end. We're gonna start here with Pakku walking away from the main characters and absently telling Katara to go join the other women at the healing huts. Most obviously, he is facing away from the camera as he says this, showing that he doesn't really see Katara as someone worth paying attention to. The point is that he's ignoring her, and adding to this is how as he walks away he gets smaller and closer to the bottom of the screen, literally minimizing his presence in the situation. We then get a quick shot just focusing on Katara's anger, which has built up so much that it fills the whole frame, before she initiates the confrontation by whipping Pakku with this strand of water that keeps up its momentum between shots, moving up from the ground into her hand and then left to right to hit Pakku. With a quick cut to his feet stopping, we feel that he is no longer removing himself from the scene. Tension builds with this wider shot of him standing still and slowly turning to finally face Katara. And then as a climax, we get a close-up shot of his smug face. Compare this to the live action, which starts with Pakku having already stopped to talk directly to Katara. This doesn't make the scene instantly bad, but it's definitely less engaging to watch characters talk to each other standing still, and the basic shot composition choices communicate less about the position of each character in the interaction and what they're feeling in the moment. It does get this part right, where it focuses on Pakku delivering the "go back to the healing huts" line. He's in a commanding position, so he takes up his own shot, though it kind of awkwardly cuts to it from this wide shot in the middle of him speaking.
Please, go back to the healing huts with the other women.
Katara's first attack on Pakku is then also much more static than the animated one. The lesser number of cuts gives the attack less force and makes Pakku's turnaround feel less substantial, as we have to watch Katara wave her hands around a bit before actually seeing any water, and Pakku very calmly stops his already slow walk over to the side of the screen. We then spend too much time focusing on Aang and Sokka in the crowd before getting to Katara's own defiant taking up the whole shot moment, in my opinion hurting the momentum of the interaction and the power of Katara's shot. Finally, we get to Pakku deciding to fight, and there's this decent camera movement. It gets closer to him as the tension is building. Cool. Both fights start with Pakku lifting water out of the ice jars, or I guess they're more like big pools of water. The animated one uses a very wide shot, getting the whole battle area in view. This does two things. It helps show the large scale of the water being bended here, like I talked about in the main video, but it also very quickly establishes the geography of the area they're fighting in. It's not like a complicated landscape or anything, but the audience quickly understands that it's a wide open, flat area, except for these two water pools, the ice jar stacks in the back, and the stairs. The live action equivalent is not nearly as wide, so it's not really establishing the scene as much. We can tell it's flat, but it doesn't feel like a particularly wide and open area. It's clearly smaller than its animated version, as we'll see a couple seconds later after the fight has already started, but it also feels more cluttered than it should due to these onlookers being placed between Katara and Pakku in the shot. Even though we know they're off to the side, they're still taking up space in the frame. They become additional visual noise that makes the shot feel more cramped. This shot, though, does establish that the water pools exist. Pakku pulls a somewhat unimpressive amount of water out of them, but I actually think the unique slightly from below angle combined with how he moves makes it feel pretty cool. We then get two shots of each character basically getting themselves ready. I like how the camera kind of follows their movements. Also, the characters are separated between shots as the fight hasn't properly started, and once they start interacting, they'll find themselves in the same shot again. Both scenes then get into stuff that I talked about in the main video: animated Katara's run and the water circle, and live action Pakku's slow, easily deflected first attack and the weird hop thing into the hand-to-hand bit. I will add that this hand-to-hand bit is a lot more frantic with its cutting and has this unique overhead shot, which both make it more exciting than the rest of the scene, but also it sticks out in a kind of bad way, as the rest of the fight does not have this editing style. Then there's the really awkward cut into the crowd shots. I still can't get over how awkward this cut is. Okay, let's just look at the animated fight for a while. Katara is jogging over to Pakku as he bends the ice to create this massive wall. The ice filling up the entire frame and covering up Katara in the background sells the power being displayed. I think I actually need to criticize some of this part, though. To me, it doesn't feel like Katara is moving very fast in this shot because she's running directly at the camera and she's far away, and so she doesn't change her position much. But then in the next, she is suddenly fast enough to quickly slide up the ramp and fly into the air. It's also not clear that Pakku was actually building a ramp and not just a wall. Both shots on their own are good, but seeing them in sequence feels slightly off, like there should be something in between them. In the live action, it's more clear that Pakku builds a ramp. Katara's flip though, again constrained by not using a wider shot, isn't as impressive. And this slide on the ice right before it isn't great either. This time it isn't even because of the shot composition or anything, she literally just needs to move over a larger distance and faster. What follows in the animated scene though is consistently good. I already talked about this one part of Pakku bending the water around him and Katara holding her ground, but the sequence as a whole also does good with the building and release of tension. Katara stumbles a little when she lands, then we feel the force of this massive wave coming towards her. We get a quick shot of her looking a little concerned before focusing on her digging herself in, and then we see her successfully bend the wave around her as the climax. We conclude with an upward panning shot of her standing defiantly and the crowd cheering behind her. She jumps down and runs straight at the camera before getting into the animated equivalent of the live action hand-to-hand bit. It's an interesting contrast as the animated scene actually uses much fewer cuts than the live action for once. While the live action scene uses the quick cuts to add some frantic energy, I think the animated scene actually uses fewer cuts to do the opposite. The shot holds on Katara swinging wildly as Pakku calmly deflects her attacks. We cut to Pakku blocking one more blow before easily knocking her off her feet once again. It ends up conveying a sense of precise control that Pakku has over his movements in contrast to Katara, and a feeling that he has control over the fight in general. Cut to the audience's view watching Katara land in the pool of water, and then Pakku's smug face once again, concluding the exchange by showing Pakku's continued confidence. Now what's the live action doing? The camera moves with Katara as she bends a spike of ice from this pool and throws it at Pakku. The camera movement here actually puts some weight behind this move, and then, oh, what the fuck? This is actually a good example of the 180-degree rule. The previous shot ended on filming Katara from this angle on her right side with her looking at Pakku toward the right side of the screen. But then the next shot of her is this zoom in from her left side looking at Pakku towards the left side of the screen. Of course, it's not bad to film characters from different angles, but it's a pretty basic idea in filmmaking that switching the direction of where the characters are looking at each other like this fucks up the spatial relationship between them. In this case, it makes this shot feel like it was just randomly spliced in, as Katara is suddenly looking the opposite direction from where we feel she should be looking. And then we have the Icewind stuff. I talked about this already. Let's talk about these ice discs. I talked about the live action scene, which uses this angle and camera shake to convey the force of them. The animated scene, meanwhile, after zooming out as Katara raises the ice, again using the camera to convey power, uses a similar angle, but Katara's discs here are a lot thinner and we don't get the camera shake. This time in the live action, more of Katara's forceful anger gets shown, whereas the animated Katara has gone for a more precise attack. Her anger comes through more due to the attack she is using and Pakku's reaction to it. We get another use of water rushing towards the camera, then the directional momentum of the water carrying through over different shots before Katara runs at Pakku and gets knocked down. Now we can compare these parts where Katara is on the ground for a bit. Both have this side profile shot which looks good. It's a proper angle for showing that Katara is looking down at the ground as she catches her breath. The way the light hits her hair in the live action also looks pretty nice. But the live action also has these shots that are just straight on. In addition to just going on for too long, these shots don't really have the same sense of defeat, probably because the camera is so close to Katara that it sometimes doesn't even feel like she's still on the ground or looking down. When she does stand up, she moves out of the frame and we cut closer to her face again, like a very similar shot. It's all very drawn out and awkward when compared to the quick, simple animated version of the same sequence. We focus on Katara catching her breath for a couple of seconds before she quickly jumps up into a wide shot. She pulls down these stacks of jars which we see towering over Pakku before they tilt over, and then a wide shot for the scale of the cloud produced by the collapse. Pakku ice slide. He feels like he's moving too slow for this to be cool. Now, how does the animated scene handle this? First, we start on this tall block of ice which he bends forward. We switch to an angle from behind Katara with him in the distance. He deflects a blow from her as he moves closer before sliding along this ramp and taking her out. We first set up what's giving him his initial momentum, and then we have him quickly approach the camera. The live action is already limited because it constrains the characters to a smaller space, but this angle from above and behind Pakku doesn't help convey any speed. After the reaction shots, there's a better one where he's actually moving towards the camera from above and covers the screen with ice. He's still not moving fast, but the angle from which we're filming his approach makes us feel that danger a bit more. And now we're finally at the ice spikes. In the animated scene, we cut between a tower of water and Pakku's hands bending it, moving in a kind of grotesque way, implying that he's angrier than he has been for the rest of the fight. The water turns into spikes, which rain down around Katara. This is the end of the fight, and we cut away to the crowd, creating a little bit of suspense, wondering if Katara was seriously hurt, and then we see that she's fine. In addition to focusing on Pakku being a little more dangerous, we also get the feel that his attack was still precise and controlled, as the shot of the spikes landing around Katara is perfectly still and calm, even from this distance. The live action sequence, meanwhile, goes for a more aggressive feel, a contrast similar to the two ice disc scenes. Pakku throws the ice spikes down one by one as he circles around Katara, and the camera shakes as they land around her. It's a little chaotic, and we feel proper force behind each spike, though these are also just to trap her without harm. I think both versions of this sequence convey feeling properly to the audience. How they relate to characterization is a different story that I won't get into. Okay, so now I've talked about almost everything from both scenes. I don't feel the need to try analyzing literally every frame of both, mostly because I think the broader themes are already clear and I don't want to repeat myself too much. There's like a couple of seconds total that I didn't cover, but also it's not like every shot of the original is a masterpiece of composition and every shot of the live action is uniquely terrible. This video, like the last one, is just meant to try to prove the broader trend. I saw some rationalizations for the live action's generally lower quality get repeated in the comments on the last video. The common idea is that the problems I bring up are not due to poor planning or lack of skill on the creative side of the production, but because of external factors like budget issues not allowing for more interesting camera angles or a larger set. I'm not convinced by this. First, while it's certainly true that a lower budget can limit a production in some ways, a good director can make their skills shine through even in a disastrous production, at least some of the time. What I'm criticizing is not the special effects, it's the shot composition, the planning of how each shot should flow into the next, the editing, creative elements whose quality is not as affected by things other than the intuition of the creator. A lack of money shouldn't prevent a director from planning the best camera angle. The quality of art is not determined solely by how much money was spent on making it. Second, even if we assume external factors like budget and production issues or whatever else people said it might be are the full explanation for the direction being worse, this doesn't make bad directing suddenly not an issue. You can always explain why a flaw is there, but in this context, I don't really care. If there are flaws in a piece of art, even if you know of external excuses for those flaws, they're still gonna make you not enjoy the art as much. Flaws are flaws no matter what the backstory is. And while there are cases where knowing the story of the production might heighten how much you enjoy the art, no one's gonna suddenly enjoy Netflix's Avatar any more than they already do once they hear about some issue as banal as the budget. I think this type of thing certainly matters for greater understanding of a piece of art, but it should not be factored in for evaluating the actual quality and how much you enjoy it. What's on the page is what's on the page. That's what we're watching, so that's what should be critiqued. Thanks to everyone else who commented on that video. Praise is always good, of course, but I also really appreciate people adding their own points building off of what I said. There was a lot of stuff that I chose not to go into because of what I was trying to do with that video, but I really felt like the analysis was filled out by comments going into characterization and implications for the narrative, so it was actually really cool to see. And of course, there were a lot of points made that I hadn't thought of, and I'm just glad there were so many people not just interested in hearing what I had to say, but also in sharing their own thoughts. And even to the people who don't comment, you're still helping me pay for university, so thank you. Okay, I'm done now. Bye.